All right, everybody, welcome. This is all of the Faded Black breaking news that you need for this Monday, December 5th, 2022. On this day in history, 1945, the U.S. Navy Squadron Flight 19, 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers, disappears in the Bermuda Triangle. Of course, later to appear in Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Here's your Fader fact today. Over 50% of the world's population relies on rice for 80% of its food requirements. And that is your Fader fact. Let's get to the breaking news. Big news today announced construction on a new radio telescope array composed partially of over 130,000 Christmas tree-shaped antennas in the Australian outback has officially begun. Once completed, the Square Kilometer Array, otherwise known as the SKA, will become one of humanity's biggest ever scientific endeavors. First proposed in the 1990s, the SKA will combine the thousands of antennas in Western Australia with a network of dishes in a remote region of South Africa to form one large interconnected virtual disk system, as if it were a single gigantic piece of equipment. The result is a radio telescope so sensitive it could pinpoint the signal of a smartphone in the pocket of an astronaut on Mars, over 139 million miles away. The first phase of the project is expected to be completed in 2028 and will eventually include thousands of dishes and 1 million antennas. Absolutely incredible. Well, NASA's expedition crew has begun a new science botany experiment by installing a new Veg 05 study on the International Space Station. The goal of the study is to grow dwarf or cherry tomato plants under 2 different light quality treatments in space. Once the crops have fully grown and are harvested, the crew will analyze the differences in the fruit yield, nutritional composition, microbial levels, through scientific tools and personal surveys. This means that the study team members themselves will test the tomatoes by eating them. That's right. They want to check out the flavor, the texture, and the juiciness. That's right. Well, Russia has stopped using Iranian-made kamikaze drones in the Ukraine because apparently, they don't work in cold weather. That's right. They're made of plastic and other materials that are not frost resistant. Iran is a desert. The drones have not been used in Ukraine since November 17th, which was also the first day that it snowed in Ukraine this year. There you go. Well, a giant tortoise named Jonathan, recognized as the world's oldest living land animal, celebrated what is estimated to be his 190th birthday over the weekend on the island of St. Helena. He is the oldest known living land animal, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Happy birthday, Jonathan, 190 years old. Check this out. This is a creepy news story of the day. An Ohio man recently purchased a home. That's right. Only to find the body of its former owner decomposing in the basement. What? How does this happen, right? The unidentified man called the police around 11:40 a.m. this past Saturday over the weekend to tell them that he found a body in his new Cleveland Heights residence. The body was then identified as Nina Fieldman, 71 years old, who was the former owner of the residence. The new owner, right, said he recently purchased it through the Cuyahoga County as part of a sheriff's sale. Now, I'm not making any of this up. And right now, nobody knows why the body was not found in a home inspection by the sheriff's department or anybody else before the home purchase was finalized. Yeah. U.S. Border Patrol agents just seized the largest amount of liquid fentanyl in United States history. Authorities found 3 gallons of liquid fentanyl in a compartment within a gas tank. The seized fentanyl was worth about $1.8 million. This lethal amount is enough to kill 5.7 million people. Absolutely incredible. Iran's attorney general, now this is big news over the weekend, so I'm sharing it with you now. Iran's attorney general announced that the country is abolishing its morality police, a potential concession after months of protests against the regime. The decision would be a major victory for protesters in the country who have demonstrated for months in response to the death of 22-year-old Masha Amini, who died in police custody after being arrested for not wearing a head covering in public. That's right. The morality police in Iran have been mainly responsible for the enforcing of the country's strict Islamic dress code, which requires women to cover their bodies in long, loose clothing and their head with a headscarf or hijab. That's right. Wow, the morality police. Now, there's been some response from the Iran official news agency saying that's not the case, but we'll explain more later. So we shall see. Also announced today, disgraced attorney Michael Avenatti was sentenced today to 14 years in prison, ordered to pay nearly $11 million in restitution for embezzling millions of dollars from 4 of his clients and obstruction. Avenatti pleaded guilty earlier this year to 4 counts of wire fraud for each client he stole from and 1 count of endeavoring to obstruct the administration of the Internal Revenue Code. Prosecutors said he obstructed the IRS effort to collect $5 million in unpaid payroll taxes for Tully's Coffee. That's right. The sentence handed down by federal district judge James Selna will begin after Avenatti completes a 5-year prison term he's currently serving after being convicted in 2 separate trials in New York. Yeah. You remember that documentary I talked about a couple of weeks ago on the show, Pepsi, Where's My Jet? I think that's what it's called. That stars Michael Avenatti. Yeah. Go check that out during his home arrest, by the way. Facebook owner Meta threatened to remove news. That's right. News content from its platforms today following reports that U.S. lawmakers have added controversial legislation favoring news media to the annual defense authorization bill. That's right. The legislation introduced by Senator Amy Klobuchar and backed by more than a dozen other lawmakers from both parties would create a 4-year exemption under U.S. antitrust law, allowing news outlets to bargain collectively against social media platforms for a larger share of ad revenue in exchange for their news content. So we're going to see the news removed from Facebook, Instagram. That's pretty crazy news. And also announced Now, this went down Friday of last week. So here we are 3 days later, and it's in place. CNN has gutted sister network HLN. You remember Headline News, right? Terminating all live programming as part of ongoing layoffs and budget cuts. Chopped and gone, among others, are Morning Express with Robin Meade and Weekend Express. No more live programming. Meade and HLN's live news programming staffers will be among those fired. Also getting their pink slips were prominent CNN correspondents Allison Cossack, Martin Savage, Alex Field, Mary Ann Fox, and Chris Kaliza. Absolutely incredible. So there you go. That's your breaking news for this Monday, December 5th, 2022. Breaking news is produced by Renee Newman. I'm Jimmy Church. Go Backley Tappy.